Hey guys, how's it going? It's Janie over here at Janie Sweets, and welcome to the very first episode of Friday Fixes. Well, you asked me cake questions and I answer them for you. So the first question that I got was from Tanya Avila, and she wanted to know, how did I get started in baking, and do I have any tips for people who want to do this as a business? My cake story is kind of hard, kind of long to explain, so I'm just gonna go through bullets and tell you, I guess the main events. So the first thing that I baked, or the first cake that I baked that was a big deal, was my 21st birthday cake. And back then, Sex and the City was really popular, and I also really loved the color purple. Well, not the movie, but the color purple. Well, I do like the movie as well, but that's not the point. Back to the point. I really loved purple and I loved Sex and the City, so I decided to merge them both in a cake. So now, mind you, that should have been easy, but I decided to go with a 2-tier cake. Had no idea what I was doing, didn't even know what fondant was, had no idea that you had to dowel your cakes, even put a cake board in between the 2 tiers. I just kind of baked the small tier, baked the big tier, slapped them one on top of each other, rolled out fondant, and covered the entire thing in fondant. It was a hot mess. Fast forward to about a year later, I was working at an accounting firm. I had graduated college and I was just started working. And of course, I wanted to make a good impression on, your bosses. So one of my bosses at the time, she wanted to make a Darth Vader or Star Wars themed birthday cake for her son. And so she was talking and she was like, oh, I wonder how they got it so smooth. She was showing me pictures and I was like, I know how to do this. I've worked with fondant before. Let me show you. So she was like, oh, come over and then, we'll work on it together. So I went over her house. Long story short, it was actually a really nice cake. It turned out really pretty. So since then I was like, maybe I have something, maybe I have a talent there. So, I just started making cakes for friends and families, their birthdays. I'd be like, hey, I'll do a cake for you. I have little cousins, so, it was just birthday here, birthday there. Every event that I was going to, I would just bring a cake. And then one day, my friend asked me to make a cake for her that she was gonna pay me for. A whole $20 I made on a cake, guys. And I don't know if you guys remember, Wilton had a picture on top, in front of their old fondant boxes, right? And it was a picture of a cake with a bow on top of it. And I was making the bow. I just, at the time, was making things how I think they should look, right? Just based off of my head, my imagination. I was making the bow, and of course, I didn't know about CMC powder or gum paste or anything like that. And it wasn't looking like the box, right? Like the picture on the box. So I went on Google and Googled, how do you make a bow on a cake? And lo and behold, YouTube came into my life. My baking career took off. I started learning more, expanding my horizons, making new things, making cakes for people. And now the first cake that I sold to somebody that was not family, that was not somebody that I knew, was an Elsa cake. And it was when Frozen was a big thing. And it was just the doll with some cupcakes. And I was just so excited. I delivered the cake to the party and it was just awesome. And I just got a high from that, like the feeling that you get when you've baked something and you bring it to somebody and they go, oh my gosh, that's a cake. I love that feeling. So since then, I just kind of went crazy from there, and here I am now. I do sell my cakes to clients, and I also make YouTube videos for you guys. So that is, in a nutshell, my baking story. Now to the second part of the question. She asked, do I have any tips for anybody who is interested in doing baking as a career, or selling their cakes, or baking as a business? Now, I am definitely not the, savviest business person or the best baker. There are definitely more successful people out there, but these are 10 things that I have learned throughout my journey. I've been doing this for about 7 years, 4 years really full on, and these are things that I have learned the hard way. So if I knew these before I got started, it would definitely make my life a lot easier. So you're gonna see me looking down. This is where I have written out all my notes. So let's get started with number 1. You do not need every single tool and every single equipment that you see out there. I know, I am a hoarder. I'm a cake hoarder. I have an entire basement full of stuff, and I have a cake room full of stuff. Like, I love collecting molds and cutters. Chances are, if you need it, I have a mold for it. I love buying these things. They just make me so happy. Like, I'm always getting Amazon boxes in my house. But I will tell you this, do not think that you need to invest in those, like, everything that comes out. Chances are you will not use them. I have bought molds that are like 4 or 5 years old, and I have never used them ever. So only invest in key things. I will make another video on things that you definitely need when you're getting started. Besides that, don't worry about anything. It's just gonna be fine. The second thing is research. Research on YouTube, on Google, go to cake classes, take boot camps. There are a lot, especially now with social media and with Google and the internet. You can find everything on the internet. If you don't find it on Google, you'll find it on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, chances are somebody's offering a class. Definitely invest in your craft. You will not regret it. If you take the time to really study and research your craft, you will get better. And not only research in terms of, you know, to get better, but you also have to make sure that you're not doing anything illegal. Make sure that you understand your cottage food laws. If you're selling from your home, get educated on what's new and what's trending and different things that you need to do to get your business started. Number 3, do not sell your cakes until you are ready. And I mean it. Don't take an order for a cake that you do not feel comfortable selling to somebody. When you think about it, this is your name that's going out there. It has happened to me before where I have taken a cake that was way over my head and I just couldn't deliver. So definitely don't do that. You really need to make sure that you're confident that you can deliver this cake. Either you've done it before or you've done something similar before. Because believe me, it is not worth the hassle. Number 4. This leads me to something that I saw. It was a Periscope of somebody and she had put it on YouTube. I will link it for you guys below because I definitely recommend watching it. Do not, I repeat, do not go into another cake lane. And what she said was stay in your cake lane. Perfect what you know. Make something your style. And then branch out. You don't want to be here, there, over here, over there. You want to make dessert cakes. You want to make, like a giraffe on its head. Like, what is it that you want to sell? Now, in the beginning, it's kind of hard to do because you do get orders for random stuff. But as the time progresses, you will start realizing which cakes that you like doing, which cakes you enjoy doing. Maybe you don't like working with buttercream. Maybe fondant is something that you prefer to work with. To start focusing your talent on what you're really good at, making that perfect, and then switching over to another lane. Number 5, distinguish yourself. And that goes hand in hand with staying in your cake lane. What is it that you're going to offer? And that's going to help you determine a lot of things like your prices and your policies and stuff like that. So you want to distinguish yourself. What is it exactly that you want to do? Are you going to focus on dessert cakes, or are you going to focus on like the shape or, you know, like carving of the cake? Now, that's not to say that just because your cakes are really pretty that they don't taste good. They should taste good. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a cake, but what are you focusing on? Number 6, you do not have to make everything. Oh my gosh, when I started out, I thought that everything had to be from scratch. Everything had to be handmade. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. Newsflash, the big bakeries, they don't make everything by hand. Obviously, you're going to take a little bit more care to do everything by hand and from scratch. But if you're really bad at something, that doesn't mean that you can't sell it. You can always buy it. I'm talking about things like toppers, things like flowers. Oh my gosh, I am absolute garbage when it comes to making flowers. My roses look like cabbages, and I have literally just spent 5 hours trying to make this rose that looks like a cabbage. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the customer. Like, who is benefiting from an ugly rose that I have just charged a whole bunch of money for because it took me so much time to do? Definitely outsource it. Toppers, I suck at, so I definitely get all of my toppers from Etsy, and you just work in the price with the cake. cake price, and then nobody's the wiser. Number 7, determine your prices early. Pricing is something that I really want to spend a lot more time talking to you guys about. Maybe this is a subject that I might take on next Friday for you guys. If you're interested, let me know below. I realized that I was losing a lot of money, that I was literally giving people cake away. Like, even though a cake is expensive, that doesn't necessarily mean you've charged enough. And that's not me saying that raise your prices. That's not what I'm saying, but determine your prices. You need to know your cost, especially if this is a business. That's business 101. You need to know your cost. You need to know your price so that you can figure out what your profit is going to be. So if you're in a business, you're in it to make a profit. Otherwise, it's just a hobby, right? Figure out your pricing early on so that you do not waste your time, waste your energy, and waste your money. So number 8, get a website. Now, this is very, like, you wouldn't think that this could make a difference, but honestly, once you get a website, it is just so much easier for you to be out there. Now, mind you, you have an order on Facebook and you're going back and forth with the person. What do you want? When do you want it for? How many people? What colors? Blah, 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 this and that, the other thing. It's so easy to get lost in all of that. But if you have a website where there is a questionnaire that they can enter everything in there, you print it out and then you put it on your fridge, you know that cake is for this day and this is everything that goes with it. Get a website. It'll save you lots and lots and lots of trouble. Also, clients ask you things all the time, like, what are your prices? What is this? What is that? If it's on your website, you can kind of direct them to it. So I definitely recommend getting a website if you're serious about making this into a business. Number 9, definitely get a contract in place. Now, a contract is there to protect you. It's there to protect the client. It's there for a reason. Businesses have contracts in place for a reason. It literally could be anything on a piece of paper. You need a contract because at the end of the day, the last thing you want is for the client to tell you, you didn't tell me that, or I didn't know about that. So you definitely need a contract in place to tell them what your cancellation policies are. You can't cancel the night before because people have done that. Like, oh, I don't want to do the party anymore. That's not my problem. Here's the contract. You know what I mean? So if you have a contract in place, it definitely protects you and it protects the client as well. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Most cake contracts are the same. I actually got mine from like the Cake Boss website, and I just kind of tweaked it to make it fit my you know, how do you call this? My needs. So definitely get a cake contract in place because you will not regret it. Now, the last thing, number 10, is time management. Guys, this is the biggest thing that I can tell you. Once you start doing this as a business, it will take up a lot of time. Making cakes for clients, I really have to be very exact and precise with my time. So you can freeze your cakes after you've baked them. You can refrigerate a cake that is covered in fondant. I don't know why people think you can't. It will sweat, but it's not the end of the day. There are different tips and tricks that you can do to avoid the sweating, which I can talk about if you guys want me to in another video. But learn little tricks that you can do to make things in advance. Like, let's say I know I have a cake due in a month and it needs a figurine on it. I can do that figurine, let it dry, and put it in a Tupperware and put it in my cupboard. Definitely organize, plan ahead, and then execute as planned. So you will definitely love me for this tip. Time management is key. Use your time wisely. You don't have to be, you know, up until 2 a.m., which I've been guilty of, making anything if you've planned ahead. So that brings me to, I guess, the last point. That wasn't supposed to be the last point, but definitely make sure that you don't take last minute orders. Like, don't do this to yourself. It's not worth it, especially if it's something that is so complicated. You're going to be hating yourself because at the end of the day, you're not going to sleep. You're not going to be able to perform. You won't be creative, and it's just not beneficial to you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long. I hope you've enjoyed that little story about how I got started baking, and then also my my 10 tips on how you know, to turn this into a business. And if you did give this video a thumbs up, definitely let me know in the comment section below what else you would like for me to talk about. I'm thinking of talking about pricing. Let me know if that's a go, or if you want something else next Friday. So this is it, you guys. I love you. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.